Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Guru Puja Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pravijagacharya Astotir Sata Shishimad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pravijagacharya Astotir Sata Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Sri Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Gangamai Jamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Their Lordship Sri Sri Nitai Gaura Hari Ki Sri Sri Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadraji Ki Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadraji Ki Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jagannath Ratha Yatra Festival Ki Sri Jagannath Ratha Yatra Festival Ki Sri Lenasia Ratha Yatra Festival Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Ki Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go live. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Giri Bharat Hari Balaba Giri Bharat Hari Gopijana Balaba Giri Bharat Hari Balaba Giri Bharat Hari Yashodhana Nana Vajajana Ranjana Nana Vajajana Yashodhana Nana Vajajana Ranjana Nana Vajajana Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Madhava Punjabi Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Nitai Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Nitai Gaura Hari Nitai Gaura Hari Gaura Jaya Nitai Sachisuta Nitai Sachisuta Sachisuta Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Baladev Jaya Subhadra Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Shri Jagannath Rathayatra Mahamohotsava Ki Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari Ki Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki Gaur Premanandi. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Madhya Lila, Volume 3, Chapter 13, The Lord's Ecstatic Dancing at Rath Yatra. A summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya as follows. After bathing early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deities, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, get aboard their 3 cars. This function is called Pandu Vijaya. At that time, King Prataparudra took a broom with a golden handle and began to cleanse the road. Lord Jagannath took permission from the goddess of fortune. Even God has to do the right thing. Lord Jagannath took permission from the goddess of fortune and then started in the car for the Gundicha temple. The road to the temple led along a broad sandy beach, and on both sides of the road were residential quarters, houses, and gardens. Along that road the servants, called Gaudas, began to pull the cars. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided his Sankirtan party into 7 divisions, with 2 mridangars in each division. There were altogether 14 mridangas. 14 mridangas. I was in New York Temple in 1977, 76, 77, and in the big skyscraper building. On the bottom floor, which was maybe 2 or 3 times bigger than this, huge building, they had 8 mridangas. 8 mridangas in a closed room. That can be pretty powerful. Shri Shri. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai. Opening, not opening. Okay, sorry. Okay, excuse us. While performing kirtan, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited various symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, and Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged their feelings very blissfully. When the cars reached a place known as Balagandi, the devotees offered the deities simple food. At this time, in a nearby garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees took a brief rest from the dancing. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who danced in front of the car of Sri Jagannath, be all glorified. By seeing his dancing, not only was the whole universe held in wonder, but Lord Jagannath himself became very much astonished. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivinoda. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Shota Ganashuna Kari Ekamana Ratha Yachaya Nitra Prabhura Parama Mohana. All glories to the listeners of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please hear the description of the dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Rath Yatra festival. His dancing is very enchanting. Please hear it with great attention. Aradina Mahaprabhu Anasavadana Ratre Uti Kana Sangye Kaila Pratashnana. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates got up in the dark and attentively took their early morning baths. Pandu Vijaya Jaki Bari Karila Gamana Jagannath Yatra Kaila Chari Singhasana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates then went to see the ceremony of Pandu Vijaya. During this ceremony, Lord Jagannath leaves his throne and gets up onto the car. Apani Pratapuruja Lana Pachagana Mahaprabhura Gane Kareye Vijaya Darshana. King Prataparuja in person, as well as his entourage, allowed the Pandu Vijaya ceremony to be seen by all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So obviously that's kind of a more private ceremony when the Lord boards his car. But King Prataparuja, due to his devotion to Lord Chaitanya, he allowed Lord Chaitanya and all of his associates to see the Pandu Vijaya ceremony. Advaita Nitai Adi Sangye Bhaktagana Sukhe Mahaprabhu Deki Ishwara Gamana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his prominent devotees, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu and others, were very happy to observe how Lord Jagannath began the Rath Yatra. Balista Daita Gana Yena Matahati Jagannath Vijaya Karaye Kari Hatahati. The very strongly built Daitas, carriers of the Jagannath deity, were as powerful as drunken elephants. They manually carried Lord Jagannath from the throne to the car. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Daita refers to one who has received the mercy of the Lord. Lord Jagannath has a number of stalwart servants known as Daitas. These servants do not come from very high caste families, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas, but because they are elevated to the service of the Lord, they've been elevated to a respectable position. Thus, they are known as Daitas. These servants of Lord Jagannath take care of the Lord from the day of the Snana Yatra up to the time the Lord is carried from the throne to the Rath car. In the Kshetra Mahatmya, these Daitas are said to come from the Shabaras, a caste that keeps and sells pigs. However, among the Daitas, there are also many who come from the Brahmana caste. Those deities coming from the Brahmin families are called Daitapatis, or leaders of the Daitas. The Daitapatis offer food such as sweetmeats to Lord Jagannath during the Anavasara, the resting period after Snan Yatra. They also make the early morning offering. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari Ki, Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev and Subhaja Devi Ki Jai. It is said that during the Anavasara, Lord Jagannath suffers from fever, and that the Daitapatis offer him an infusion of drugs represented by fruit juice. It is said that in the beginning, Lord Jagannath was worshipped by the Shabaras and was known as the deity Nila Madhava. Later, when the deity was established in the temple, the Lord became known as Jagannath. Because the deities were taken from the Shabaras, all the Shabara devotees were elevated to the position of Daitas. So His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami wrote a very nice Jagannath Priya Nataka, a nice drama in which all the information about the Shabara king and his worship of Lord Nila Madhava, and how the king Indrajumna wanted so much to see the most beautiful form of the Lord. So there's a whole drama that goes on when King Indrajumna's servant tries to find Nila Madhava. And when he does so, unfortunately, and comes to bring the king to see the deity, then the deity disappears. And therefore, the king in a dream receives an indication that the Lord will appear on a certain day, and he will appear as a big log coming in the sea. And that log should be carved by a certain carver, and that will be the Lord, what's the word for the wood? Deity of wood? Deity of wood? Shabda Brahma. Anyway, sorry. So, because of that, when the Lord was established in the temple as Jagannath, the Shabaras, who had been serving Lord Nila Madhava before, they became elevated to the position of Daitas. So this is Lord Jagannath's mercy. He's very merciful to all the fallen souls. What time do we have to finish, Prabhu? How much? 8:30. 5 minutes, okay. So we'll skip up a bit. So, Lord Chaitanya although there were 4 parties of kirtan performers comprising 24 chanters, in each party there were also 2 mridanga players, making an additional 8 persons. When the 4 parties were formed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some consideration, divided the chanters. So then there's different groups. There are different groups with different chanters, different singers, different musicians, and different dancers. So there were groups by Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur, and Vikreshwara Pandit, Sarup Damodar, and then it gives the and Srivas Thakur, and it gives the members of the dancers, the singers, in each party. So that goes on for a few verses. And then there were altogether 7 parties of Sankirtan, and each party 2 men were beating drums. Thus 14 drums were being played at once. The sound was tumultuous, and all devotees became mad. All the Vaishnavas came together like an assembly of clouds. As the devotees chanted the holy names in great ecstasy, tears fell from their eyes like rain. When the Sankirtan resounded, it filled the 3 worlds. Indeed, no one could hear any sounds or musical instruments other than the Sankirtan. Lord Chaitanya wandered through all 7 groups, chanting the holy name, Hari, Hari. Raising his arms, he shouted, all glories to Lord Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then exhibited another mystic power by performing pastimes simultaneously in all 7 groups. Just like when the gopis were dancing in the famous dance, they felt, each gopi felt that Krishna was just dancing with her, the rasa dance. Krishna was just dancing with her. Krishna was situated between every 2 gopis. So in the Sankirtan, before Lord Jagannath, the devotees felt that Lord Chaitanya was just dancing in their group. Everyone said, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present in my group. Indeed, he does not go anywhere else. He is bestowing his mercy upon us. Actually, no one could see the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Only the most confidential devotees, those in pure, unalloyed devotional service, could understand. Lord Jagannath was very much pleased by the Sankirtan, and he brought his car to a standstill just to see the performance. King Prataparuja was also astonished to see the Sankirtan. He became inactive and was converted to an ecstatic love of Krishna. When the king informed Kashi Mishra of the glories of the Lord, Kashi Mishra replied, O king, your fortune has no limit. So, previously, Lord Chaitanya refused to see the king, meet the king, even talk about or any discussion about the king. And now, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the king has become imbued with ecstatic love of Krishna. The king and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were both aware of the king's activities, but no one else could see the tricks of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only a person who has received the mercy of the Lord can understand. Without the Lord's mercy, even the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, cannot understand. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had been very satisfied to see the king accept the menial task of sweeping the street. And for this humility, the Lord received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He could therefore observe the mystery of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. Purport. The mystery of Lord Chaitanya's activities is described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Lord Jagannath was astonished to see the transcendental dancing and chanting of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he stopped his car just to see the dancing. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then danced in such a mystical way that he pleased Lord Jagannath. The seer and the dancer were one and the same Supreme Person, but the Lord, being one and many at the same time, was exhibiting the variegatedness of his pastimes. This is the meaning behind his mysterious exhibition. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the king could understand how the two of them were enjoying each other's activities. Another mysterious exhibition was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's simultaneous presence in 7 groups. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the king could understand that also. So, one more verse. Although the king had been refused an interview, he was indirectly bestowed causeless mercy. Who can understand the internal potency of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So we won't have time to read it, but later on, King Prataparuja, in the dress of an ordinary Vaishnava, just a dhoti, kurta, or sash, he actually approaches the Lord and massages his feet. So I'll read this last purport. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was playing the part of a world teacher, he did not agree to see the king, because a king is a mundane person interested in money and women. Indeed, the very word king suggests one who is always surrounded by money and women. As a sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was afraid of both money and women. The very word king is repugnant to one who is in the renounced order of life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to see the king, but indirectly, by the Lord's causeless mercy, the king was able to understand the Lord's mysterious activities. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities were exhibited sometimes to reveal him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and sometimes to show him as a devotee. Both kinds of activities are mysterious and appreciated only by pure devotees. Hare Krishna. So, in the material world, everyone's interested in money and women. But those on the spiritual path, they should be afraid of those things. We're here in the material world, it's a prison house, and the shackle is sex desire, sex life. So, even though in the Varnashram system, marriage and association with a woman in that proper way are appreciated, still one should be very careful of not becoming a victim of money and wealth, of money and women. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki, Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta ki, Shri Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev, Shri Bhadradevi ki, Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, as you read that verse. Well, that's a big discussion. It takes a bit more getting into. But basically in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, one who sees action in inaction, and inaction, action and inaction, and inaction and action is wise. So many people are running up and down the highway here in their fancy cars that they work so hard to get, but all of that activity is spiritually in action. It's nothing. It amounts to zero. But whatever a humble devotee does, trying to put on a nice festival for their lordships and endeavoring like anything, that is activity. That is spiritual activity, and one it receives immense benefit for pleasing the Lord And as we're reading here, when one pleases the Lord, Krishna takes you back. Krishna accepts you as one of his servants. So there's so much activity going on that is useless activity. Also in the Bhagavad Gita explains that a person in knowledge, he sees that he's not performing activities. He's not inducing other people to act, nor is he causing results. All of this is enacted by the three modes of nature. So anything that has nothing to do with devotional service is being conducted by the material energy, material nature. You see that picture of the strings coming out of the sky. So the material energy, she's pushing, she's pulling. Your car is hit by some other car. It's just the material energy pushing and pulling, and people are becoming so disturbed. Whereas the devotees try to avoid all that interaction and simply be engaged in activities to please Krishna. This is Krishna's house. This is Krishna's house. But Krishna is Jagannath. Krishna is the Lord of the universe. The universe, not just this house. But we're trying to at least establish this is Krishna's abode and act as his humble servants. And in our lives we're trying to expand the influence of Krishna's real possessions, that everything in this world belongs to Krishna and everything should be used in Krishna's service. So a devotee tries to use other things, other people, other objects for Krishna's service. So this Rath Yatra festival is a great opportunity to take the Lord out. He gets to see his subjects, even the subjects who don't accept that they're subjects, and bless them with his seeing his darshan, getting his darshan, and hearing his holy names. So even though it may not make an immediate effect, it makes an everlasting effect on a person's soul and consciousness. And gradually it will build up, and then they will accept themselves as Jivara Swarupaya Krishnara Nityadas. That's about all we have, and that's more than the time we have. Hare Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai.
the whole text.